Hey. Hey, everybody. What's up? What's up? What's up? Hey. Check out what's on the gospel adjacent quarantine playlist right now. Do the rod. Or the rerun. Whatever your preference is. Okay, let me stop being silly. That's Alicia Myers. Talking about I want to thank you, right? I know a lot of us of a certain age used to rock out to this at the club and at the parties, and if you put it on with a quote mature crowd, you know, you'll still get everybody up on the dance floor. But but this is the kind of lifting music that I put on my playlist. You know, some of it's a little bit more gospelish than others and stuff, but this is just the gratitude anthem, right? I mean, the name of the song is I Want to Thank You. So anyway, my thanks to you, obviously, for being here is my playlist. So let me drop the link really quickly. And I think I may have misspoken yesterday, just because Vanessa Williams is such a popular name. But the song that I was playing yesterday, the song that I was playing when I logged on yesterday, was actually by Vanessa Mitchell and Steve Silk Hurley of JM Silk's fame. So I have to apologize to Miss Mitchell if I misspoke. Blame it on my head, not my heart. So anyway, which is a good setup to today's topic, which is all about being thankful for imperfections. But before I get started into that, let me just recap. If you're new here, this is day, what day is this? Day 13, lucky number 13 of my 15-day gratitude challenge. And every day, just for about 15 minutes or so, I'm going live on Facebook, talking about taking you inside my own gratitude practice and focusing on one thing that I'm thankful for, particularly in this time of quarantine, and giving you some homework, actionable things that you can do to practice gratitude around that topic in your own life, right? So that's how these things have been going. What this is not a deep dive into how manifesting gratitude works and that sort of thing. But if you give me 1 second, I have a different video that gives a deeper dive into that. So if you're really interested in sort of how this whole manifesting gratitude thing works, and let me, hold on, if I could type, this would go a lot faster. So there's the link to that video. It's a deeper dive into this topic. So check that out if you're interested. And so the last 15 days, we've covered a lot. We've talked about, here are the things that the 12 things we've talked about so far. Relationships, good and bad. Creativity, time, technology, leadership, teams and teamwork, movement, purpose, confidence, pressure, no, like the power of no, the ability to say no, change. And today, like I said before, we're going to focus on imperfections. We're thankful for imperfections. And it's kind of crazy because before I logged on, I was like fussing with my ponytail, trying to get it just the right way. And then I was like, you know what? I'm about to go on to talk about how I'm thankful for imperfections. And here I am trying to get this crazy ponytail of mine to be perfect. So, you know, it's interesting, you know. When I was kind of thinking about what I was going to cover tonight, I thought about this. Nobody is perfect. There is no such thing as a perfect human being. It's just true, right? That's a fact. When you meet one, you let me know. Call me personally, inbox me. When you meet a perfect human, let me know, right? There's no such thing as a perfect human. But for some reason, we expect ourselves to be perfect. We as women, we as Black women in particular, we as high achievers, we as achievement-oriented business owners, achievement-oriented professionals, for some reason, we get hung up on being perfect. It's interesting, we don't expect other people in our lives to be perfect, but for some reason we expect ourselves to be perfect. Why is that? We need to let go of that and be thankful for our imperfections, because there's a saying, perfection is the enemy of the good, and I like the one that says, life journey, whatever you're working on, it's about making progress, not about achieving perfection, because if you're trying to achieve perfection, you'll never get there. You just won't, and the pursuit of perfection is a great way to torture yourself if that's what you're into. but which is why tonight I'm focusing on being thankful for imperfections. We all love things that are imperfect, whether it's our partners, our children. I know yours are perfect little angels, but my 3 are not. But we love them anyway. Our co-workers, our colleagues, like there are very few things, humans or breathing things in this world that are perfect. Yet we set that unrealistic standard of perfection for ourselves all the time. We need to stop that. We need to stop that and say, you know what? I am perfectly imperfect, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Full stop, right? But it's interesting, like when we go on Zoom calls for work or video calls or whatever, we strive to look, quote unquote, perfect from the waist up, when we're wearing pajama pants or sweatpants or whatever from the waist out. Like, and we laugh at ourselves when we do that, right? We laugh because we know it's ridiculous, but we also know that it's kind of like this new like cultural norm of video conferences and stuff. We laugh because we know that we are trying to align with a ridiculous standard of perfection, right? But we also laugh because we know everybody's in on that particular joke, and that we're imperfect from the waist down, and that's okay, right? So sometimes you just have to be perfect enough in that moment, right? To get through the conference call or the video call. And we need to kind of take that same, don't take it so seriously approach to everything that we do, so we don't put unnecessary pressure on ourselves. The other day in day 10, we talked about pressure. There's enough pressure on us just living and breathing and trying to go about our lives on a daily basis. There's enough pressure. We don't need to self-impose pressure on top of ourselves. But you know what? Let me give you some examples of the imperfect things in my life that I've been sort of reflecting on. Like, I don't know if you could see this. Hopefully you could see this. These are our fur babies. The black one is Django. This one's Django. And the beige one is Hildy. Now, Hildy is breed standard. We chose to crop her ears for Cane Corsos. That's part of the breed standard, and her ears stand up perfectly, and she's got the perfect wrinkly face and the jowls and the whole nine. Django, on the other hand, you can't see it. Maybe you could see it. In the center of his head, he's got this big lump, and he's always had it since he was a puppy. And the vet and everything said it's just some kind of fatty tissue deposit and it's not bad for his health. And he's been our lumpy-headed dog. And since the day he got his ears cropped, he's had one floppy ear and one ear that stands up. Sometimes neither of them stand up. So he's about as, so he's got this perfectly imperfect, floppy, lumpy head that suits him just fine. Like, personality-wise, these dogs, yeah, their temperament and personality is totally different. But we love him, and we wouldn't trade him for anything. And it's cool that Hildy looks quote-unquote perfect relative to the breed standard, and Django doesn't. We're not trying to get rid of him, right? So, that would be such an unrealistic thing for us to do, because he's a member of our family. We love him. Lumpy, floppy-headed, lumpy-headed dog, floppy ear and all, right? So why then do we look at ourselves any differently? Years ago, I had my first major surgery, and I had 2 discs removed in my neck, and I don't know if you guys could see it, but like right here is like the scar where the neurosurgeon like opened up my neck and took out the discs and stuff. And I have this scar, and I was getting my corporate portrait done, And I got into this big argument with the photographer when I saw the photos were beautiful. Too beautiful, because I was like, that doesn't even look like me. Well, it kind of looked like me, but it looked like, Photoshop Liz, not this Liz. And the thing that I went in on him for was he photoshopped my scar out of my neck. And I was like, no, that's part of me. That's my history. And that scar represents tremendous fear that I had to overcome in terms of agreeing to let somebody cut my neck open and operate on my spine. I was petrified, and it marked a big step forward in my personal journey towards getting healthy and stuff. So that scar reminds me of some very powerful moments in my life and life lessons that came from those moments. And I'm okay with that. I'm proud of my scars because they're evidence and proof that I lived and I'm living and I'm overcoming my fears and concerns and stuff like that. So I was like, don't Photoshop my scar. It's part of who I am. Perfect or imperfect. And the other anecdote I'll share with you, then we'll get into homework and we'll wrap up, is when I was getting married, everybody was like, oh, so you're on a diet? Da, 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 da. I guess maybe that was their passive aggressive way of telling me I was fat. But that's okay. And I said, no, I'm not going to kill myself for that. And they were like, why not? Because like a bunch of other people that I work with were recently engaged and stuff, and they were all on these crazy diets and stuff, and they were like, how come you're not dieting? Isn't your wedding soon? And blah blah. I was like, listen, I was fluffy when he met me, fluffy when he proposed. I'm gonna be fluffy a few months from now when we walk down the aisle. Like, this is just me, right? It's me, fluff and all. So, I just share those things to let you know that it's okay to be perfect. You are perfectly imperfect, and that's okay. So let's pivot to some homework. What I want you to do is make a list of all the imperfect people, beings, whatever, in your life that you love anyway, in spite of, because of the perfections. And somewhere on that list, who you need to put on there is you. Okay? Because all the people who love you as you are. They love the imperfect you. Okay? And sometimes we need to just reflect on how many people love us just the way we are. As they say, warts and all, as they say. And then make it, think about the things that are imperfect about you that the people who love you love about you. Like, they love the fact that you're quirky. They love the fact that you're creative. They love the fact that you're analytical. Or they love whatever about that. And celebrate that and honor that. Number 3, promise to love those things about yourself, right? You're made that way for a reason. Okay? So embrace that, reevaluate your standards. Are you being too hard on yourself, right? And one of the things that I like to teach my coaching clients is WWYD, is what would you do? Like, if you were like giving your best friend a pep talk and he or she was down on themselves for being less than perfect, what would you say to them? You'd probably know exactly what to say, like, but if they can't accept you and love you the way that you are, blah, 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 later form, whatever, give that same speech to yourself when you're starting to doubt how imperfect you are and worry about your imperfections. What would you say to yourself? You probably give you some pretty good advice, right? So, but sometimes we do so much better at lifting others up than we do at lifting ourselves. So I want you to practice that when you kind of start to feel a little bit insecure or what have you. Couple more really quickly. Give yourself permission to be imperfect. And lastly, I want you to embrace your imperfections. Embrace your vulnerability. Vulnerability and authenticity, you can Google it. There's a whole school of thought around this, is one of the biggest keys to leadership, right? When your leaders are vulnerable, you tend to connect with them and appreciate them and respect them more. So be kind to yourself, okay? Stay healthy. Stay safe. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. That's my message for tonight. Come back tomorrow at 8 o'clock. We're rounding the finish line, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in, and Be good to yourself, okay? Warts and all. Okay, have a good night.